Today I am going to go over the top 5 ways that getting my house organized has really helped and impacted my life. I have been on a self-improvement journey for the last few years. One of the biggest focus has been on home organization. I'll be honest, I struggle with some mental health issues, particularly anxiety. There's been highs and lows and a little bit of in-betweens. Then in late 2019, I did get diagnosed with ADHD and it made my life make so much more sense. Some of the things that I struggled with, I thought were more my failings, when it turned out it was more just a brain difference. But a fun fact, most people with ADHD actually do struggle with organization because of these brain differences. One of the big changes I have made in my life is getting organized. Kind of going from a hot mess to sort of organized, to the extent that I've actually helped friends and family with their organization problems as I've researched, investigated, and figured out how best to organize when you have a different brain. One size does not fit all. Another fun fact, I was actually questioning myself. Am I qualified to talk about organization? I mean, I'm not perfect. I still have days and weeks where I seriously struggle keeping everything put away. And then it dawned on me, of course I am. Who else better to talk about organization than somebody who has struggled and is doing substantially better? Another thing is, I'm an industrial engineer. That's what I went to school for. That is our job a lot of times, is to come into areas, organize facilities, layouts, 5S, come up with ways to organize. In one of my prior roles, I actually taught the course on 5S. So it's sort of like, yeah, it was kind of your job and your education for it. I did feel like a hypocrite when I was in that role, though, because I was at work telling people how to be organized, and then I would come home to a mess. That wasn't good for my mental health. I also like to thank imposter syndrome for bringing the fact that I was worried if I was qualified or not. Another fun ADHD trait. So why the focus on my home? Well, there are 8 dimensions of wellness, and there's a graphic that should be popping up soon called the Circle of Wellness. And one of these dimensions is your environment. If you have a safe, healthy, organized environment, your overall wellness is improved. And I've also learned that this wellness circle, that if there's not a good balance or there's areas of your life that you're really struggling with, it impacts the other areas of your life. It's all interconnected. So focusing on the various areas, trying to find a better balance in my life has overall made me a happier, healthier person. I still got a ways to go, but life is a journey. So join me on the journey as I go through my top 5. First, we're going to start with number 1. I'll be honest, these are not in order of impact in my life, but more order of what do you notice and see first. So the first thing you notice is that once you start to get more organized and get your life kind of in order, you actually get more time. So investing this time early in trying to get this system set up makes it so future self has more time to do things that you actually enjoy doing, because who enjoys finding stuff? The biggest thing for me was looking for things. Like getting up in the morning and having to go find something to put on when you have piles of laundry in laundry baskets, digging for socks, trying to find the shoes. So you finally get dressed, then where did I leave my cell phone? Where are my car keys? I don't know. And looking for that. So then you finally get on the road to work, you're already running late, you're frazzled, so you've just started your day off full of anxiety. That's not the way you want to wake up first thing in the morning and spend your first hour, half hour, however long it takes you to get ready, is being anxious and frazzled. That's just not a good way to start a day. So then also, every time you walk around your house, I don't know if others do this, but I know I do and a lot do, is that you're always making mental notes to self, like tasks or to-do lists. So you're like, oh, I need to do the dishes. Oh, I got to pick up that thing. Oh, I need to organize this, or I got to do this. And it's continual. So when you actually sit down to relax or do something, your brain is spinning with all of these to-do lists and mental things you got to get done. So that is definitely also a huge source of my anxiety. I'm a blast to be around. So the kicker is, if you actually work on trying to get this stuff or get the big things done, then at the end of the day, when it's time to say, I'm done for the day, I've completed what I plan on completing, and if it's not done, that's okay. You can sit down and just actually relax and give your brain a break. So I would say time is definitely the first thing I see when I start to get organized. And one of the things I started with was my closet, because that was my biggest pain point. But everybody has a different pain point. Number 2, Money. So you're thinking, how is getting organized? Don't you have to buy all the organizational tools and spend money? No, actually, you don't need to buy that much stuff. You actually, in the long run, save money. Remember all those lost items I was searching for when I was spending all the time looking for things? Well, if you're organized and you actually find the thing, you don't need to buy another of the thing you lost. So think of all the duplicates. I think one of my most embarrassing moments, this wasn't really a money thing, I was cleaning out my desk a few years ago, so like say, 2019, and I found not one, not two, but three Blockbuster cards buried in the back of my desk. Because I probably lost one and just kept replacing it, and Blockbuster hasn't been in our area for quite a while. So yeah, you have weird things, share, because I have no shame. It is what it is, and I've got better. I threw them away, and we've moved on with life. So also the impulse buys, another fun ADHD trait. Good times. But shopping. Oh, that's cool. I want to do this project, or oh, I need this, or I think I'm out of this, so I'll buy this. And then you end up with duplicates of stuff you think you're out of, but you're not, or things that you get buy that you don't really need. Going through the journey of clearing out rooms and discovering how much stuff you have that you never used or used once that you're getting rid of, or pitching, depending on if it's broken or if it can't be donated, it's pretty rough. Like, money is time. You had to work hours to get that money to spend on something you didn't need and then just to watch it leave. So that definitely changes your mental perspective when you're shopping and going out and about, because you're like, do I really need this? Do I have an alternative? Do I have the space to store it? Will it have a home? Will it be something I use multiple times? Can I borrow it from somebody? Like, you go through all these things now because you know that money is time, and is it worth it? Is it worth having to pick it up, put it away, organize it, and to have a home for it? One thing I've done, because I still struggle with impulsivity, particularly around like art, craft supplies, woodworking fun things, or like Legos or puzzles. Yeah, I got issues. But I go to save for later on my Amazon cart or store cart, or I'll come back the next day. Kind of make a 24-hour impulse room. Like, so, okay, this is cool. I think this would be great. Add it to cart, hit save for later, and I'm like, okay, I'll come back in a day or two and see, do I still really want this? And majority of the time, the answer is no. I have more savings now than I've ever had, just because I have so many things that the next day or so I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't really need this, or I don't have space for this or home for this, and really thinking through those impulses. Now, if I'm going to replace, say, paper towels or anything that's just a stock item, I just buy it right away, because I've already used it up the first time. Obviously, it's something I use in my life, so that's kind of how I ended up also saving money and having more money, which means I can do fun things versus worrying about all the crap I have to now store in my house. So this next category is number 3, but it's probably one of the most important, and it's had probably the biggest impact, was my improved mental and physical health. Mental health, like I said earlier, is that your mind is always making these to-do lists. That causes stress and anxiety and no time for rest. Seeing the clutter everywhere doesn't give you a sense of peace or calm. It causes more anxiety in a cluttered mind. So if every time you're walking around and you see stuff you need to do, or it's chaos and your brain is always in overdrive, it doesn't really give you a chance to truly just be. Or if you're stressed because you can't find things, it definitely has a huge impact on your stress levels. And if you're somebody like me who's predispositioned to anxiety, it is even worse. So I don't mind visual stuff in my house and things on shelves and artwork and stuff. That's pleasing things that I place there purposefully, not crap that got piled up on a flat surface. There's a big difference, and definitely as I've gotten more and more organized, I have noticed that my anxiety, at least in this level, has decreased. Now there's times where I'm overwhelmed and stuff gets piled up, but now at least I know the process to put everything back away is much, much quicker, and I can get back to being more zen-like in my own home. Put things in your home you enjoy and bring you joy, not things that bring you stress. Also, it's self-confidence. Before, I felt so much embarrassment if people came over and saw, and I felt like I was just a failing because I was struggling to keep a clean house. I have since then, through a lot of help and therapy and etc., and different YouTube TikTokers and so forth, learned that cleaning an organized house, though, isn't a moral failing. It's morally neutral. It is basically you're doing this for yourself, for your future self, not because it's what makes you a good or a bad person. That's not it at all. We need to stop affiliating having organized spaces as with how good of a human being you are, because there's no correlation. It is morally neutral. And I still have days that I have to sit down and, like, no, you're not a bad person. You just are overwhelmed now and struggling. You'll get it back on track. We're doing this for future self so you can be calmer and have less anxiety, not so for others to make me feel like a better person. Physical effects. So basically, if you have stuff everywhere, it gets dust on it, it gets dirty. And if you have allergies or asthma, that makes it worse. If you have less stuff to dust around or less stuff to clean, your house stays cleaner. And if your house is easier to clean because everything is easy to get to, you can just go do a quick counter wipe and not spend 20 minutes picking everything up, then you have a safer surfaces to cook with. Also, slips, trips, and falls, favorite manufacturing phrase. Things that fall off land on your feet, you trip over a thing, you just etc. More stuff in the way, the more likely you are to possibly get an injury. So it's also great for your physical health. And then as we went back to more time, if you spend less time finding or cleaning and organizing, you have more time to go out into nature and go for a walk, which is great for everybody. So definitely the improved mental and physical health is definitely very, very big impact on my life. Number 4, improved creativity. So I think there's a stereotype that the artists are chaotic, crap everywhere, disorganized, messy people. But the truth is that if you have a clean, organized space, your creativity is actually improved. If you surround your stuff that you find peaceful, relaxing, you enjoy looking at, you're going to be more creative. If your mind is filled with to-do lists and clutter, you don't have space to truly welcome in the sparks of inspiration that may come to you. And then another thing is space. So I'm in my craft room. I before was a dining room. So you can kind of tell other pictures that you can see there used to be a big table here that was a dining table and chair, and behind me was a china cabinet. This room also, because of doom boxes and extra stuff, got piled with crap that I just didn't use, and it was a wasted huge room in my house. So over time, as I decluttered, got rid of more and more and more stuff, and had more open and free space, I looked at this room one day and said, okay, why is this just a dining room or a catch-all? Why don't I put this to good use? So I turned it into a craft room. Now I have a place to come in and just be creative. Whereas before, if you have excess stuff, you don't have space for this. You can create a kid playroom, a writing area, a library, anything that you can turn rooms that are just underused or full of stuff into actual living spaces you can truly enjoy. And then say you have a great idea for a painting. So you come into your area and it's piled of stuff. So now you have to get everything picked up and cleaned up. You spend the time doing that. So it's finally clean. Okay, great. Now I have to go find all the supplies for all the stuff I just shoved places. And then you finally get all your supplies, and then you can't find something, it's lost. Then you got to get a replacement. And by the time you get through all that, the energy and the motivation to create is just gone. Well, now you can come in and say, hey, I got this great idea. Walk over to where I store the canvases, pick one up, walk over to the paint, pick out my colors, and in a few minutes later, you're down here creating instead of trying to pick up and clean to be creative. And remember all that time you spent finding stuff? Well, guess what? Now you have that extra spare time to actually create. So as you can see, everything kind of has been building on itself as you now have more time. Now you got more money to buy the cool art supplies, once you know you'll really use it. You are more confident. You have cleared your mind of some anxiety and stress to allow space for creative ideas. Now you can actually get more creative. So this creative blog, it tells you how important actually getting your environment in order is for creativity. It's actually one of the top reasons in how to be more creative is to live in a clean, organized space. Next is number 5, improved relationships. Now, like, how does an environment help your relationship? Well, let's go back. Now we have more time to spend with our loved ones and to focus on our self-care. We have more money and less money worries and troubles because we stopped our impulse spending, and how many relationship issues are stemmed based on money or money stresses. We have improved our mental and physical health. We have more confidence in ourselves, and then we are more creative in expressing ourselves and communicating through our art. So overall, we're a happier, healthier, confident person. And I've heard the phrase, you attract what you are. So if you're a stressed out, anxious mess, you're going to probably attract that, versus if you're living a creative and happy life and trying to do your best, you will probably attract those people with a growth mindset. I am single, but I am hopeful that all this work I've been doing the last few years and I continue to work will help me find and attract somebody who's living in a creative and authentic life to help find love. I still have hope. So this is how all these things compile to get to number 5 of improved relationships. I have been seriously working on getting my house organized since January 2019. It kind of started with the Marie Kondo coming out that January 1st. I'm sure we all know what sparks joy. Now, I will say she definitely is a more neurotypical, but I was able to use some of her practices to at least get me down the right trail as I've learned and explored and found other organizers and creatives out there who give me further inspiration and guidance of this journey. It also was about the time I was in a relationship that was rocky, and he was definitely neurotypical, and I felt ashamed and was shamed for the way that my house looked. It was an encouragement, it was shame, and that doesn't work. You can't shame people into wanting to clean, get organized, or handle their issues. All you can do is say, you've got this, I'm here for you, I'll help you. Because shame doesn't work. And you'll be glad, well, I'm obviously single now, that shortly after that we did break up, and it was definitely for the best. And I've keep moving forward, and I kept working on my house because I discovered I needed to do it for me. So the one thing you're going to notice above is that I'm not doing this for somebody else. I'm doing it for me. And the relationship thing, you think, well, you have improved relationships. Yeah, but that's for me to be happier and healthier and find like-minded people who bring me up and not pull me down. It's just to make you a better, happier person, and it inspires creativity. So let's join me on the journey as I continue down the path as I tweak processes, systems. Every year I go back through and try to go room by room to see where I can make improvements, clean up, where I've fallen off the wagon some. And every year it gets better. But I've been on this journey since 2019, so 4 years almost, and I've still got a ways to go. Don't expect it to happen overnight. Don't read the Pinterest post of, oh, look what you can do in just 1 month. It's not that way. It takes time. So be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. Be creative, get out there, and live your best and happiest, most authentic life.